Generic greetings and welcome back to Prison Architect once again. In the previous series we made a fairly decent prison in quite a short amount of time. It showed the new update 11 stuff, so the guard needs, and I always said that was a mini-series and we'll do a full one when we come back and add more in it, and here we are. Also, happy 2017, happy new year to yourself if this is the first video you're watching of the new year. It is the first video I'm recording of the new year, so I guess it is accurate. Oh, we also have to assume that people are using the standard human earth calendar, and maybe they're not, so if not then we make allowances for that. So happy generic planetary body revolution cycle to yourself, or just happy new day. So let's just go to create new prison, standard format. I was going to say construction series format, but as you can see from the title and such, that might have changed a little bit, but I've done a full video running down the changes I've made on the channel in this year going forward. But standard format, we're going to do a plan in this episode and then build it for like from the next ones onwards. So we're going to go for a medium size map. I have tried large a couple of times, but I just don't like it. I can't really envisage the overall grand plan on a map that big. I prefer medium and then expand, and just expand that way. I prefer that to using a large map. Fog of war, yes. Generate forests, yes, why not, because you can get money from them. Lakes, no, because they're annoying. Buildings, no need. Filling conditions, yes. Gangs, yes. Events, yes. Weather and temperature, yeah, go on, we'll try it again. Don't really like it, but we'll give it a go. Staff needs, yeah. And that'll be about it. Yeah. Okay, so we got male and female prisoners. We're going to go for a male prison because I want to have a mixed prison, but I want to do something a bit different in that sense. I want to make sure they're all split off and segregated in their own cells, which is something we have done previously a long time ago, but also that they use the same amenities with different regimes and stuff, so they'll never really come in contact with each other. That's the overall plan anyway. And also, I want to have death row. So having all of that and managing it, I really don't want to fling nurseries and family cells into the mix as well. Also, I want to see how many gangs we can get, and I believe you get less gangs on a female prisoner set. So we've got to pick our warden. So we've got standard warden, lobbyist, Rita, periwinkle, pacifier, and someone I can't pronounce. We're going to go with the pacifier because he looks like Warden Norton from the Shawshank Redemption, and also reduces overall temperature of the prison, so it helps us out a little bit. And we'll cook player. There we go. So pause it for a second while we go to planning and then to walls, and then we will build a wall all the way along the outside. We're probably going to only give it a rough plan in this episode. I don't know exactly like what the plan will be in terms of well, I'm going to give it a rough plan, so we'll probably put like the basics down and then go right, and then detail one section and then build that, and then move on, detail another section, then build that. Instead of just going detail and spending 40 minutes for everything and then probably changing it later on, we'll probably just go for that's a building, and then roughly figure out what they're going to be later on. Okay, so wall around the outside, that's sorted. We will be having guard towers, so we have to allow for that. So if we had a guard tower there, then your wall would be a gap of 4 around the outside. Now, I do plan on expanding the prison, which is why I'm also allowing for expansion here in terms of... This is wrong. This is already wrong. I've already made it wrong. Oh, no. Let's do that. There we go. That should be about right. Is that about right? Why I sorted. Right, okay. And we will go for the entrance. So yes, we'll allow for expansion, so we will have like sections where they'll do that into the extra bit, so to speak. Alright, so we'll go for the center. I think it's 120. 120 length, yes, so 60. Be about there. Oh, no, there in fact. Alright, so that is technically the center, I believe. What we'll do is we'll cancel that and then we'll remeasure. So down to there is 60, yes it is. Cancel that off. And then run down, 60, sorted. Okay, so there's the center. And then we're going to do something we've never really done before. And we're going to have a central corridor. Oh, wait. I've done that loads of times. Oh, yeah. Right. That's right. So, that goes down. And then, actually, make it bigger. Cut that off. There we are. So, we'll have an entrance. And this will be like a doors. So you can get pretty much every which way you want. This will all be fencing. Okay, this whole thing's going to be fencing. Until we get into the center. In which case, as soon as we get into the center, we'll have our main block for where the prisoners go, like for the food and for where the guards are, where we've got the armory and the CCTV and dogs and everything else is going to be in a fairly big building right in the center. Okay, that's the plan. So you have to walk down here We don't want it too big. Probably 40 will be completely sufficient. I believe that is 40. It is 40 from that wall to there. Alright, and then we will probably put a building in... Well, we'll go for 20. 20. And then, to be honest, it doesn't much matter really how big it is for now. But we'll say 50. Okay, so that's a fairly big building. So, you come into said building and immediately you will get searched. Alright, because obviously we need to search the prisoners that come in. So there you go. Come in, you get searched. Right, done. What next? Well, how are we going to do things? Well, let's plan off the bits we know. So you'll go through a door here into probably... Well, we need things like power. We need power, we need storage, and we need officers. Okay, right, we can go with that one. Let's have officers down here, security up here, the power and other things in here, kitchen and canteen. Okay, yep, that seems to work out. Yeah, I think that's about right. Only problem is that this is probably too far across. So we'll redo it. We'll say 30 instead. See if this works a bit better. So we'll just cancel those pieces off. Okay. Open those up. And then something like that. Yeah, that's about yeah, it's about right. Okay, so you get searched. And then you will be brought down here and up here. Okay, and then you can go outside. On either side, we could... do we want to do that? We could have your visitation areas. Yeah? Visitation. But... do we want to allow the prisoners access to those people? I don't think we do. So what I'll do, I'll shrink this down. Shrink this down a bit, right? And then we'll have 2 visitation. Alright, something like this. So it'll be a door, then a door. Door, door. Obviously all these are doors, you understand that. Just put these in while we're here. I will have to put the deliveries and stuff, we'll probably put it on the opposite side or something. So there's that. And then that'll be your visitation. But it'll be 10, 12... No, 10, 11, 12. That's 12 visitation there. And that's the booths. That's the booth ones. Is that 12? 24. Yeah, 2 each. 12. Okay. Yeah, so that's your visitation there. So that's like booths. So the prisoners will only be able to get into this probably via some doors here. Or something like that. Actually, what we'll probably do is have a jail door in the middle. So about there, I believe. 12 and 12. Job done. So, prisoners come in here. Right? They can visit the family and all that. Actually, you speak to them through the little glass screen thing. And then go from there. Yeah. Alright. That seems about right. Click on this new notebook thing. I still haven't collected all of those, even though I've got like nearly 400 hours logged on Steam on this one. And probably twice that non-Steam. So there's your visitation. Okay, yeah, I'm happy with that. I think that works. We can always expand it further along to the right if we need to. That's no problem. Before we do anything else, actually, we'll read the CEO's letter. Blah, 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 words, delete. And then we'll close our intake. There we go. And we'll probably go over to rooms. Over to deliveries. Cancel all that off. Deliveries. For now, we'll just go... Actually, I'm safe for now. It's probably going to be permanent. Probably going to go there. And then we'll go for garbage, which will be the opposite, which will go there. And then we'll have a... We'll have an export. Why not? We'll have an export there. Okay. And then we'll go to... Objects... dismantle, and then we'll tell these guys to go and dismantle all the trees. Just quickly paint everywhere, you see. And oh, don't say it's just done that glitch, has it? Oh, it has. I don't know if you just saw what happened. There's a glitch that I honestly thought was removed. And, yeah, you get a delivery of people, like the first delivery of workmen. And what happens is they'll come along and get off at the deliveries area because they are technically being delivered. You don't just buy them. But, don't know if you saw there, because I removed deliveries and placed it further up from the previous one, it had nowhere to stop and it just went straight off the edge. So we lost all 8 workmen. So we're going to have to spend... £4,000 on buying workmen. Good start. I probably hack that. I'm going to probably hack that money back in. I'll probably just open the save file and hack that in because that is annoying. Anyway, so there's the workmen. I'll unpause it. They can crack on and start removing all of these trees because it's quite a bit of a job. That right. So we've got 2 areas. Let's go for 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go for our bottom one here, and this will be our 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. This will be our area for what's it called? For I'm probably going to expand these just to make it about right. This will be our area for the staff, and I should also measure that correctly because it isn't, and now it is. Yay! Right, so this will be staff. Okay. And they'll come in wherever. It doesn't really matter too much. What the hell was that? Oh, it was a tree falling down, of course. And we've got a bit of an area here where we can't do much of anything with it. But if I do that, 1, 2, 3, 4, it's still 4. So we've got a corner section here that we can't really do much with. Oh, it doesn't matter much. Right, so we'll come in. We'll have a... We could just have a storage there. That could be our storage. Or it could be anything, actually. Because this will just come down as a corridor like that, right? And you'll come in here. And then you've got... Probably... Actually, we probably just use that as like our staff room. I think. Something like that. Fairly big staff room. Actually, don't need it that big. We'll shrink it down a little bit. Entrance there. Staff room. Yeah, that's okay. Probably have 2 entrances if we need to. And then this will be like security room plus armory. Actually, armory is probably best that way, I think. Not really too sure. Let's shrink that down, make that bigger. And that's security and armory. Like that. Alright, with your entranceways in. Like that. Okay, excellent. This area, we'll have a 4x4. Sorry, 5x5 for your power. And actually, we'll put it in the corner. 5x5. We'll have another 5x5 there next to it because we are going to have the 2, obviously. And then we'll have water and temperature as well. I'll place them wrong. They should be there. That one, and that one. Okay. And then we got some more stuff to go around here. So we haven't got an area for storage. So this could be storage. And then this room at the back could be anything. What do we need? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know what? We can have dogs and armory and dogs. And then security and staff room. That would work out. It's a fairly big area there, though. But we'll go with that. We'll probably go with something like that. Right. So this area, this is where we're going to have our kitchen and canteen. So just make sure that's the centre there. And then we'll say we could just have for a kitchen. I don't think I've made a 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't think I've made a really long kitchen before. You could have like your cookers all the way down there. At the back, you would have a like an area to walk around, like gap of 2 to walk around. And then you would have your fridges down the centre, and then you would have a gap of 2, and then you would have your cookers. So it could be that. Like, that could be the kitchen. That there is just the kitchen, the whole thing. All of that. That does work. It does work. It's probably big enough. The problem is that we haven't allowed for future expansion. Actually, if we expand further, we'll have separate cooking facilities. But what I mean is that I don't know how many prisoners we're going to have, so it is probably best to perhaps have this... Actually, how many cookers will we have? Right. Yeah, we'll have 21 cookers. We don't need it bigger than that. That's big enough. Right. If it's not, sack it, we can change things. So, and there's our canteen. I know, it's way too big. It's huge. It's a massive canteen. Don't care. It's big enough. We can have things in there like the phone booths. We can have in the... Obviously, we have to have metal detectors going in the doors and stuff, which I haven't planned off. We'll have... What sort of things will we have? Probably toilets in there. Yeah, things like that. That's what will go in there. Right, so... What we're missing out on? Well, so far, the most important bit, where you actually put the prisoners. So, we're going to have a fairly big cell block. Now, I want them all about the same size. So, let's measure off what we can have. 123. Oh, actually, then. Does that work out? I'm not entirely sure. Because we have to account for the gaps that could possibly go in between it. All right. 40 with a gap of 1. 40 with a gap of 1. 40 with a gap of 2. Well, it was close. It was close. But that doesn't work out either. Because if we expand, we need to ensure that you can get past here. So we need at least a gap of 2. So, it's going to be 38, right? And then 38. Still big. And then 38. 4 and 5. Yeah, we're always going to have a uneven one. But that there is actually... There's no need for it. We can probably just do that and make it 39. This will be like 40 or something. But that'll be a walkway going down. Yeah, something like that will be fine. So we're on 39. 39. And 41. So the centre one is slightly bigger. Not that it matters much, but there you go. So that's fine. So that's your centre there. As I said, there's going to be like entrance ways in here to go to the other areas. So That's fine. These will all come out. So this will be like low risk, medium, and then high. Now, the high will probably be something like this. Their cells will be something like this, right? Oh, no, actually, probably it won't be. It'll probably be this, right? Because I want to use the bureaucracy stuff and have it so you can have like the non-standard size cells. So the high risk stuff will be very, very cramped. Very, very cramped indeed, with guards walking around, armed, lots of CCTV, things like that. The medium risk ones will be standard cells, so something like that, you know, bed, and then a toilet, something like that, yeah. And then the other ones here will be like bed, maybe shower in this corner, something like that. And these will be sort of that size, yeah, so they'll be a bit bigger. So that's why we're going to split them off. So that's fine. This area is a yard, just one big yard that goes all the way around the outside. And then we will have the same up the top. So it was, I believe, 39. Really wish I didn't do that. No, we can easily cancel it off though, can't we? 39. Like so. That's 40. Actually, was it 39 or was it 41 now? It is 39. Okay, so 39. Yeah, that's read. And then I'm going to say 41. And then 39. Yeah, okay. So, we've got fairly big set. We've got a problem with space. I'm running out of room. Oh dear, oh dear. So, 2 big yards. Do we need 2 big yards? No, we don't. So, what's the best solution? Well, we do need buildings around the place that will allow them to like buy food and have a chapel and things like that. So we need like libraries and other stuff. Oh, there's a lot of buildings. I'm going through them all in my head now, and I'm just thinking we're missing quite a bit out, aren't we? Aren't we? Aye. Right, so best thing to do is probably to shrink the canteen by some. It doesn't need to be a lot. But you know what? Looking at the size of these, I think we're going to have a... I think it's a capacity problem. I really think it's a capacity problem. I mean, we're probably going to have 50 prisoners in each one of those because of the size of the cells. Probably 200 odd prisoners in here. Maybe 300. So there's a lot of things we haven't got. Either way, needs must. So, fairly big building here. We will have... For a start, we haven't got any showers. Now, I'm probably going to put showers in each individual cell block. I think they're going to be self-contained in that sense. I was going to have them as a communal area where they all go to one area, but I think it's just too much of an issue. I don't think we'd be able to manage that one. So, each cell, showers in each of these cells, and then we'll have, obviously, the food, and then we've got our visitation, which is fine. We haven't got an open visitation at all, but we're not allowing for that. We're just not having it. And we've got a lot of buildings and areas that we just don't have. So we haven't got any like shop front. So we can have like, we could probably split this down like so. Like that. Alright. So that is a 26 by 8. Probably make it 26 by 10 actually. And then what we'll do, we'll have these areas as your shop, your library, that sort of thing. Okay, chapel, etc. We haven't got a parole yet. Parole can go somewhere. This area will be probably a couple of things. We'll open up door. We'll put doors like so. Then you'll come in, and then you will have all this is an open area for. Actually, that's a plan. This is an open area for a common room. But then the back here, you will have some more buildings, and this will probably be where the chapel goes. So these are just rooms that we can use for anything. So parole, library, things like that. Yeah, I think that's the best way of doing it. Otherwise, we'll end up, well, chapel. What else do we need? Library, yes. We haven't got laundry. Cleaning cupboard, not yet. Infirmary and morgue, we haven't got either. Mailroom, yeah, it'll be around here. Shop. You get the idea, all of these buildings here, and then a common room there. So, we haven't got a workshop for a start off, which is something that I know I wanted to go for, but I think just the size is a problem here. We just don't have the room. We also don't have any area for protective custody. Or solitary. Wow, there's so many things that we're missing out here. Okay. Right. Gonna have to do a redesign. What we'll do, in the centre of each one of these buildings, roughly, I'm just gonna sort of roughly plan it out, we'll have a yard in each one. And that'll be for them only, right? So they're probably going to spend a lot more time in these cell blocks than I originally envisaged, but that's okay. So that can be a yard in there, so we don't then need the yard outside here, okay? But what we do, so that no big yard, but these will be slightly bigger, probably like that, something like that. I don't know. We'll work it out when we come to plan each one of the cells, because we'll plan the low risk off first, then we'll move up, because we're going to get low, then medium, then high, just so we can stage it and stagger it instead of going for like high risk and then the whole place burn down, which we don't want to do. So something like that, and then we'll have this area. I wanted this walkway with the yard there. The whole point is that the prisoners would stand there and sort of shout and jeer and stuff at all of the new arrivals that come along here. I like that idea. So yeah, I am going to stick with that. I just like the idea of it. It's not practical, but that will be our yard. It doesn't mean though that we can't have a building here like that. Well, it's different, if nothing else. What sort of size building are we talking? 10 by whatever. 10 by whatever. So this will all be yard. This will be a building for probably morgue. Oh, not that big. That's it's probably like infirmary and morgue, and then like a psychologist office or something like that. And then, actually no, this will be laundry, cleaning cupboard, something, and this will be infirmary, morgue, psychologist's office, and then whatever. Probably holding cell, actually, now that I think about it, because we haven't got one. So, yeah, that is the rough plan. I don't want to plan off everything in detail, because we will be here for an hour. And I want to keep these episodes about 30 minutes, which we're coming up to. So, I think that's okay. Interesting plan. I've done something similar before. Well, I've done, in Prison Architect, I've done almost everything before because I've played it for so much, but the idea of it, as I've said before, is to have it so that the prisoners come down the central section. We've got a yard here, so they'll get cheered at and shouted, oh, boo, hiss, and all that. They go in, get searched, and then they get farmed off to their individual cells. So you've got your low, medium, high. Okay, each individual block which will have different cell layouts. So this one, the one in here, the low risk, we might even have dormitories in here, and have just like a couple of big dormitories. But I'd like to know what you think about that one. Okay, and then in this medium risk, this normal risk, you'll have your standard cell blocks. Yeah, so standard cells, sorry, like that. Yeah, and then this one, the high risk, you'll have the really small ones. Now, you might be thinking, well, when you look at that, when you actually think of what the deal is, it sort of makes sense, because you think, well, the prisoners that are low risk, that are not like a risk to humanity or anything like that, that haven't murdered 27 people, surely they should be not treated as badly as the people that have done the thing that I've just mentioned. So they will get TVs, they'll get radios, things like that, because they're generally well-behaved prisoners, and as such they should have that. But actually, in the game, it's the opposite way around you need to do it, because the high-risk ones kick off easier. So it's actually much easier to just look after them and give them radios and give them all of the stuff, so they go in and then they don't fight, and then in the long term, they don't cause as much problem. It's counterintuitive. You think it should work one way, but it does work one way, but I guess it's a bit like that in real life. You treat them like crap, they're going to act like crap. So, there's some symmetry there. But either way, the way we're doing it is going for a very harsh cell block here, and then have armed guards. So we'll go for the more suppression effect rather than the look after. But it means we get a full range across here. You might have noticed we don't have any death row in here. The plan was to always have death row from the start. We've run out of space, so I don't know where to put it if we do have it. It would have to be back here. We would have to probably change this entire section, which I'm more than happy to do. I'm more than happy to say get rid of that and have, say, an area at the back here which is like death row in the centre, yeah? And then your individual cells for the death row inmates, like so. This is just for example, you understand? And like that, something like that. There's your individual cells, yes. And then we can change it off. And then this area will be, well, obviously you'll have to have an entrance into this, so we'll have, I don't know, something like that. Like that, I don't know, whatever. And then this area will be like solitary, sorry, like holding cell, and then you'll have the solitary cells go up like that. So do you get the idea? I think I've just answered my own question, really. Right, so death row is going to be in here. This is... hang on. Death row. I try to make a D and an R, but it's sort of worked out. There you go, that's death row. We'll plan that off next episode. Right, there you go. That is the overall rough design. We're missing so many buildings that we're really going to have to work on it as we go along. But what do you think? What do you think we should change? What we should do? Comments in the comments, and we will go from there. As always, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks very much for watching. Take care, and generic partings.